you recognize this car? It's a classic, a 1955 Chevrolet. And it's just as spunky and full of spirit and eager to keep moving today as it was when it was brand new back in 1955. It's just like WLEX. That's right. Channel 18 is celebrating its 40th anniversary, too. And just like this classic car, it keeps getting better all the time. We have shared 4 decades with you. And tonight, we're going to take a trip back in time to visit some of the memorable moments of that long friendship, you and WLEX together for 40 years. Imagine downtown without its skyline. Imagine Nicholasville Road without its traffic. And imagine Lexington without a television station. Well, that's the way it was back in 1955. Down on East Main Street, the famous Lafayette was still hotel and not urban government center. On West Main stood a train station, not office towers. And the north end of town was mostly miles and miles of green country land. But along a little rustic road, a new noise was chiming into the clank of the cowbells, the sound of construction hammers, as the first television station in the bluegrass went up. Till then, the very few people who owned TV sets had to be satisfied with peering over the shoulders of Louisville or Cincinnati stations. WLEX changed Central Kentucky's life.
This is Wlex-Tv, Central Kentucky's first television station, signing on the air and commencing its inaugural programming on Channel 18, Lexington, Kentucky.
That was the voice of Harry Barfield, who led the station for 35 years as general manager and president. On that premiere night, he was busy greeting the VIPs who packed the brand new studio. For businessmen J. Douglas Gay and Guthrie Bell, it was a big risk to put this station on the air. Only about 25% of area homes even had TV sets, and most of those were VHS. It was a thrilling but wobbly adventure. We started small, on the air only from 4 p.m. to midnight, in black and white, of course, and broadcasting on less than 18,000 watts of power. Compare that to today's 1 million watts. And back then, a lot of local people played pioneer roles.
The thing I guess I remember most about Channel 18 going on the air was how anxious all of us were for television experience. None of us had any then. We all worked in radio. A lot of people gained their first television experience at Channel 18. A lot of us moved on to other markets, and I'm very thankful for getting our start right here.
The legendary sportscaster Kay Wood-Ledford was a WLEX announcer. And this man was hired to help convince the public that it was worth $25 to invest in a UHF converter so they could watch it. Adolph Rupp, the immortal University of Kentucky basketball coach, launched a WLEX program of post-game highlights, and for almost 20 years, that Adolph Rupp show was the high spot of Lexington's TV week.
We're happy to have as our guest today Paul Bright, or Bear Bright, as he's better known to most of you. And you probably wonder how I got the name of Bear Bright. Well, I'll just tell that right briefly. They had a circus came to Fordyce one time, that's in Arkansas, and they gave a $5 bill to anyone that could wrestle the bear. Had a bear in there, and a bunch of the old folks tried it, couldn't do it. Well, Bear didn't have a dime in his pocket, but they talked him into going in there and wrestling that bear. So he jumped in there, took the bear, not only pinned him, but threw him out of the ring. And from that day on, he had the name of Bear Bryant.
Being Central Kentucky's first television station was just the first in a long line of firsts for WLEX. We were the first to broadcast a UK basketball game. That was in 1956 when the Wildcats played DePaul in Chicago.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
In 1962, we became the first television station in Kentucky to go full color, and the first UHF station to do so in the entire nation. course, the first grew and grew. And I'm proud to be on that list myself as Central Kentucky's first female newscaster. That broadcasting breakthrough came back in 1968 with the premiere of Noon Today, the first midday TV news program in the Bluegrass. And that popular show is still thriving today with Robin Rabbit and Paul Kelly.
Also, a special interview with the Soap Sisters are going to talk about going behind the scenes of Days of Our Lives.
Hey, it's Robin. Where'd you come from? All of a sudden, I turn around and Robin's
We're
here.
going to talk about gardening when we come back. I just couldn't stay in the studio. It's too nice out here.
Cindy Rollman's here from the Lexington Humane Society with Max. And his tail is wagging.
Yes, it is.
Way back in 1968, we gave you Central Kentucky's first full evening news hour.
18 Action News from Lexington, the heart of the Bluegrass for all Central Kentucky.
And in 1985, we gave you the first local early morning newscast. The warm response told us we were right. That's what Central Kentucky wanted to get its day going.
Welcome to Kentucky Sunrise. It is 6 o'clock on this Tuesday.
Live!
Throw another log on the fire. Cold air is headed this way.
I'm Brett Martin, live via satellite, Disney World.
And these 10 years later, what was innovation then is a morning institution now for Central Kentucky viewers.
If you watch Kentucky Sunrise, you know it's one of the 18 wonders of the world.
It was more than 20 years ago when WLEX launched Your Government and watched it grow into Kentucky's flagship public affairs program. We've given you candid interviews with presidents, senators, governors, public officials, and people who want their job. I have to ask you, do you keep a diary?
If I did, it would have been long since burned. No.
Right now in Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen, the incoming governor, as he has every right to do, is having a fundraiser. I'm told, and I do not know if this is true, but I am told that there are actually newspaper publishers and broadcasters raising money for him. I don't believe that. That cannot actually be true.
When my wife and I came into Dallas, just out of the Navy, with everything we owned in the trunk of a 52 Plymouth, we were just as happy then as we are today, even though we have more tangible things. Tangible things don't make you happy.
You don't look like you're enjoying yourself, though.
No, this is not a moment of relaxation at all. I'm sitting here in the face of the interrogators and the alligators, and you have to be on guard.
Thank you. Now 20 distinguished years old, your government continues to make statewide news week after week, guest after guest. Our station is proud that so many of our first broke down old barriers. Sam Jones was Lexington's first black news anchor. Jill Carlson is the first regular female sports anchor.
I have a pregame report from Alan Cutler, and you call the shots in just a couple of minutes. Phone lines opening now, 2251.
Our 40 years are studded with firsts. We changed the way you get your news when we became the first Lexington station with ENG, electronic news gathering. And we're still coming up with firsts. You Call the Shots is Central Kentucky's first live television call-in sports show.
We got you on the line next. Thanks for
what's
waiting.
up, Sean, man?
What's going on, Stump?
He's still stunned. He just can't fathom.
The guy switched Barry Patino. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, we are. We'll get to more of your phone calls right after this.
So many talented people played a part in our success these 40 years. And success is practically the middle name of one WLEX alum.
Tom Hammond on Eyewitness 18 News, weekdays at 6 and 11.
For more than a dozen years, the NBC sports star was WLEX's sports director. Now Tom Hammond hop-skips nonstop all over the world, covering major sporting events, racing, basketball, football, and that prize of prize, the Olympics. And all of this dazzling success began for him at WLEX.
When Harry Barfield hired me at Channel 18, I really had no television experience whatsoever, a very little on radio, but not much of any kind. So he did go out on a limb when he hired me. And I can remember the first time that I went in the studio to do the sportscast, and I was absolutely scared to death. I couldn't swallow, but somehow got through it and was better and better as the weeks went on, I thought. I'm sure everyone in the audience thought differently, but it was a definite learning experience from the very first. In those days, the sports department was a one-man band. It was cover the events yourself. It was write all the scripts. It was shoot the film, process the film, edit the film, compile the scores, and then hopefully bring it all together on the air. In fact, I can remember one Sunday night when someone was sick doing weather, news, and sports. I remember I opened the sportscast by saying, "Hi, remember me," as I came back for the third time. When you think back on it, it's incredible we got through it. Even though I've been told I'm the only network sportscaster that's never worked in a market bigger than Lexington, I've always thought I had an advantage on those that have worked at the bigger stations because I did learn every aspect of the business.
Those were the days of do-it-yourself television. In 1955, this man was the star of our most technically sophisticated show, the 10 o'clock weather. These 40 years later, Mark Halleck returned to our weather set to tell our chief meteorologist, Stuart Shepard, how it was done way back then, BC, before computers.
What I did was, for clouds, I brought cotton balls, pasted them up on the weather board, and then, having an ag degree, I went to the entomology department and got some boll weevil. And an hour before we went on the air, I would put the boll weevil in the clouds, and hopefully they'd eat through them to the next section because things went from west to east, like they always do.
So the clouds would be there, and then suddenly they'd vanish.
And so did half of the cotton items in the studio disappear too.
Mark Halleck went into a long career in advertising, but some of our earliest staff members are still with us. For 35 years, Henry Kenyon's been part of the WLEX directing staff. He remembers the 1960 Channel 18 and its first studio camera very well.
Yeah, it had a joystick like an airplane.
And how many?
We flew it like an airplane.
How many cameras do we have in the studio?
One camera, no camera person.
And the talent was in there all along?
All along. We had 3 lights mounted on the camera. We had green, yellow, and red.
Like a traffic light?
Right.
Well, that sounds pretty basic, but not as basic as the way you cued the talent from the control room.
I said, well, since they always complain about us making noise, why don't we stomp on the floor? So we devised a set of signals. Stomp 3 times, meant 1 minute. Stomp twice was 30 seconds. When you stomped the last time, shut up. It was exciting. You know, to come into an industry that was bigger than life, like being in film, I had the impression that when I came out here that I would see stars, Wayne Bell, and all those guys would be riding up in limousines. And I waited around for 5 days. I would run to the door, and I didn't see a limousine, or I didn't see a chauffeur.
Well, Henry, you've seen so many changes here. What hasn't changed here over the years?
There's always lively excitement going on, always a sense of adventure. You never know what to expect from 1 minute to the next.
Well, Henry Kenyon, happy anniversary to you, too.
Well, it feels like anniversary.
40 years together. WLEX in your community. Down through the decades, there were changes for both of them. Lexington grew larger. Our sets changed, our styles changed, but the substance always stayed there for you to count on. For 40 years, we've told you about Central Kentucky's triumphs that helped you celebrate.
Everybody likes to bring good news, and I think it's exciting for Kentucky. You know, the feeling and the response, the phones have been ringing. It's great. Bringing a project like Toyota Kentucky is a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Good pass. And he needs 2-on-1. Oh, they didn't call it. James Lee, a power dunk, and that's going to be it. The University of Kentucky are the basketball champions of the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
We've helped you through the tough times and led you through the trouble.
Woo! The damage is unbelievable. From here high in the sky, it's like following a long path of destruction. There are homes, businesses, and barns literally blown to bits.
We've taken you live to landmark events in the Bluegrass. We've shared wonderful moments with unforgettable people with you.
I guess I got tired of losing myself. And this has been an experience that I felt secure in. I wasn't afraid of faking. I was scared to death of faking before.
What would you say is the biggest life blessing?
I used to be more trustful, and as you get older, you find out you can't trust everyone.
The thing that I have think that's meant most to me is just getting rid of my ego.
I said the best investment I ever made in my life was the $2 that I spent for a marriage license to marry Mary Lou.
I want you to say that I was sober, and I meant to do every damn thing I did. Now you can say the rest of it.
And then there were the moments we didn't share with you. The behind-the-scenes, this wasn't meant to happen moment. Like the day an animal trainer brought his 575-pound tiger into the studio.
No time to play. No. Tiger. Tiger. No. No. Okay. No. Hey. No. No. You want to cut the camera for a minute? Tiger. Tiger. No. No.
Yes,
I think we may have to, because this is upsetting her quite a bit. Tiger! No! Come, you just hold that chain for a minute. Yeah. Hey, now you just cut that out. Okay? You'll pull this mic off. No! No! No, Tiger. No. 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 You got my mic off. Okay. Like. Is there a back door there?
And there were other times when things didn't go just as planned, and we learned to roll with the punches. GTE took his case to Frankfurt this morning, and Bureau Chief Tim Roldan is waiting to tell us what happened.
18 Action News. From Lexington, the heart of the bluegrass, for all Central Kentucky.
From Lincoln County, I'm Tim Brown. Action News. That's a keeper.
Okay, ready? They're rolling. Tests have finally begun on the illegal dump in Harrison County. I'm Greg Gerlach, and I'll have... Okay. Ready? Tests have finally... Ready? Get off. Tests have finally begun on the illegal dump in Harrison County. I'm Greg Gerlach, and I'll have that story. It is Harrison County, isn't it?
He would like to have a family where he would have some brothers and some sisters. And?
Look
Let
ahead.
you say something nice about the weather.
Read Look Ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, let's tell you about what's ahead on our 18 News. We hope that you'll join Bonnie and Tommy.
Bonnie and Tommy for noon today. Yeah.
Bonnie and Tommy for noon today. You know who I'm talking about.
A lot of southern air moving in with this. Hi, how you doing? You want to help me there? Yeah, just point right away. Yeah, that's the system that's helping. You may recognize Cookie Monster here. This system moving our direction, point that way, and will bring us some showers as the morning progresses. And expect showers to be approaching over this side again. You got to be able to move and talk. Showers approaching as the weekend goes on. Arm down just a little. Back over here. This is what I went 4 years of college for. Back shot. There we go. Run with it.
We
Robin.
will be back with business news and sports headlines. How's that sound?
You know, I've done all the driving tonight, but actually, the man behind the wheel at our station who keeps it on course is John Duvall, our president, our general manager. Back in the early days of television and the early days of Channel 18, there was a spontaneity to programming. And then for years in television, that vanished all over the country. But you are resurrecting that.
Well, yeah, we all are, I think. And the idea here is, you know, we want to have a little more fun with it, have it be a little less perfect. We want to go out in the community a lot more and do things live and spontaneous. Yeah, it is in a sense returning to the way television was back before there was videotape. With videotape, for those who aren't around it all day, you can edit until you get it right. I remember a very famous album recorded in Nashville called Will the Circle Be Unbroken, which was a collection of artists. I believe it was Emmylou Harris who said in one of the conversational parts of that album that the fun has gone out of music these days because when it goes into the studio with all the editing capability, they can get it perfect. You know, we want to have some fun with it. We want to go out and do lots of live stuff. We're going to do more of that, too. And fortunately, we have the people here now who not only like it, but we're very good at it. In other words, talented, interesting, ambitious young people with wit and imagination and, frankly, with panache. And those are the kind of people that we're going out all over the country to look for and hire. And they're the kind of people who make television fun and interesting, I think, for viewers. But I think that's pretty much what we've got. It's getting better.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yep, our president put it well. We've got a bumper crop of bright, enthusiastic, energetic people who clearly love what they do.
Really bad recreation of the best play in the game so far, so here we go.
WLEX 18 Action News Kentucky Sunrise is your live choice for good health.
So, here we are, 40 years on the road and still riding high. And we can't wait to see what's around the next bend. You know, the very best part of this trip has been sharing it with you. So, let's keep going. The journey's just begun.